years, I haven't messed up a single job.
With the arthritis you had, you can expect an occasional flare-up.
I really need to get back to work.
What do you do?
Oh, here we go.
Zelensky. He made a terrible mess. Didn't even get the guy.
We can avoid these problems.
We're going younger across the board. I've got something I think you might like.
Back in the field.
In a different capacity.
Hey man, what's up?
You forgot the vodka.
Alcohol is actually really bad for you.
Probably. Get out of there! He's some sort of hitman prodigy. Prodigy? Guy paints his fingernails. This working together thing, not bad, right?
You're gonna do as I say.
Sure thing, Obi-Wan.
I need my gear.
Where are you headed next?
Northern Ireland.
I've always wanted to visit there.
So are you like a prostitute or something?
Why are you partnered up?
Training out.
Don't believe that, do you?
They are gonna root out every last one of us. We need to call in the cavalry.
We're looking to the future.
His skills, you're gonna need him. We made a play, and we lost.
Zelensky still has gas in the tank.
Recording as well as a timer going. You have 10 minutes for your interview and you can begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you very much. Simon, how you doing?
Good. How are you, John? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay, so I know I only have 10 minutes with you, but most of it's going to just be me gushing over you because I'm such a fan of yours. And I never thought I'd get the opportunity, but you're responsible for some of my favorite action movies of all time. So I thank you, sir, from the bottom of my heart.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad. Glad you like it. Always good to hear. Never get tired of hearing that.
Now, I know we're talking about Old Guy with Christoph Waltz, which I just watched it and I loved it. But I just thought if you could humor me for a couple of minutes and just kind of do like, I have this thing where I want to do like a rapid fire round with you and just have you real quick talk about some of my favorite action movies that you've done.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so first of all, I got The Mechanic with Jason Statham. Again, a remake of the Charles Bronson film. Love that. Talk about a little bit about that.
Well, I've worked with Jason a few times. I think I've done 3 films with him. So we have
Yes.
a great shorthand and it's always great. And he's, a type of, a movie star, I suppose, that has incredible screen presence. He can do incredible things with just a close up of his face. So you learn over 3 films how to shoot him and how to make him look great on the big screen. But also, he's a master of the action scenes. He was an athlete, so you can put him in all sorts of incredible situations, and he's totally unfazed. I remember on The Mechanic, I was on a building 450 feet in the air. It's like 45 stories, and me and the crew are absolutely terrified. Up on this rooftop, and there's nothing on the edges, and Jason's just walking around the edge, making phone calls, sitting on the edge, dangling his feet, absolutely not fazed. And in fact, the scene we were shooting up there was him and Ben Foster jumping off after holding onto a cable and riding out. And the thing is, it's a horrible, terrifying situation. And in some ways, Jason, because he's not really scared at all, you kind of almost have to make him look a little more tense than it is, because it is, to a normal human being, a terrifying situation. And in fact, to Ben Foster, who is terrified of heights, decided to do it as well to make the film more realistic. So we don't use green screen or anything like that. We actually jump off a 450-foot building on a descender cable, and the camera flies down with them. And so super cool on the way down, and Ben Foster's looking absolutely terrified, which was his character, but it was also Ben Foster looking terrified, which really worked great for the film, because that's exactly what it. And you don't get that with on a green screen and a wind machine. You just it's all fake, and you can see it's fake, but that was totally real. So that was one of my favorite bits out of The Mechanic.
Now, of course, you're responsible for making one of, at least mine and everybody else I talked to, the best Expendable movies, Expendables 2. You had everybody in that movie. So real quick, just 1 minute on how it was to be with all those great action stars and the scene of Schwarzenegger, Willis, and Stallone all together and the glass shatters. And that was like the most iconic moment ever. So just real briefly, then we'll get into the old guy. Talk about that.
Well, I'm glad you picked that up because that was one of my main things. That's what all the way through shooting I was looking forward to, is getting those three in the same frame, because I'd seen the first one and I was a little frustrated that they're in it, but they're not doing that much, and also they're not all together as action. And I thought, God, if I could be the person that has Stallone, Schwarzenegger, and Bruce Willis in the same frame, all shooting their big guns and kicking ass, then I can die happy. And so that was it. The whole shoot was sort of leading up to that shot of the three of them together, because I thought no one's ever done that and probably never will again. So that was like as you said, the iconic part of the film for me, as well as you for that.
And then the helicopter scene too, where they're all in front of the helicopter, and Von Damme's that too. That's just one I watch over and over again. And then let's talk about old guy Christoph Waltz. It's an assassin hitman movie. And of course, you did a little bit like The Mechanic, Statham was playing that type of role too. But this is a little bit different. So talk about the old guy and, of course, Christoph Waltz, what he brings to it.
Yeah, well, I hadn't planned on doing another hitman movie, for a while, because I'd done that with Jason, and I'd done, I thought, that version of it, which is the absolute super slick professional, no friends, no distractions, absolute, as it's called, a mechanic. And but then when I came across this story, it was a hitman, but it didn't have to be a hitman. It was just a great character, and he is such a larger than life. He's a man in his 60s. He's still trying to live like he's 25,
right?
But he's one of those people you see who's frozen in time. Like, he's still wearing the same clothes he had when he was in his 20s. He still has the same car, same haircut, and he's still partying and drinking too much and hanging out with girls, and it's just an outrageous character. He happens to be a hitman, but it's only, like, as it says in the script, like 2 days a month to finance his lifestyle. And
right.
he loves it. I mean, who knows how long he could keep going like that? But of course, his body's giving out. So his arthritis is coming in, so he can't shoot straight. And this is, really bugging him, because he was the best of the best. And so, his bosses force him to take on an apprentice. So I love the idea of this older guy losing his powers, and he has to take on an apprentice to train. And this trainee is the exact opposite. So again, it was a really interesting character. It wasn't again the super slick, young hotshot. He is young and he's brilliant at his technique, but he's also kind of typical Gen Z. He dresses gender fluid. He has a health regime. He doesn't drink. He's like the opposite of Christoph's character. And putting those two, Boomer and Gen Z characters together, in conflict, is where the humor comes out, for me. And also, the tension and the drama. And so that's why, to me, it was a completely different kind of hitman movie, because they could be plumbers or door-to-door salesmen and everything. They just happen to be contract killers. But the arguments and the distractions they go through together, the personality things, are relatable to everybody. They're sort of generational. And so it was interesting for me to put those two weird worlds together, contract killing, crime groups, and these just normal people who have same issues that we all have, of age and personality. So it's, to me, it's that's what the film is about. It's a funny film about contract killers.
And Christoph is great in it. Now, I also have to bring up Con Air. Of course, Con Air, that's probably my most favorite movie that you've done. I mean, Nicolas Cage, again, so bombastic, so outlandish out there with the action. Now, let's talk about the action. So you've done, like, big over the top set pieces. Now the action in this one is great too, low key though, and I like that. Like, you know, there's shootouts and stuff like that, but I think I dig those more than the really bombastic set pieces because it's more intimate in terms of like how it's shot and stuff like that. So just give me your general take on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, Con Air was like an opera, and was, you know, you go in, no, it's going to be outrageous. I guess even in Con Air, though, the characters are playing it straight. You know, they have little moments of humor and there's comedy, but they're not winking at the camera or the audience. They're in their world, it's really happening, even though it's outrageous and you know, over the top. Old guy, you know, I had to change my rules a little bit for this because I wanted to keep it very realistic and very real. So everything in it has to be totally believable and could happen. And sometimes I had to tone it down. The script was actually, some of the action scenes were where he would do stuff that I didn't think like a man in his 60s could do. And there was, especially, you know, he's been running up and down stairs, he's been throwing stuff around. He should be tired and exhausted and probably not going to make it. And that's, I had to stick to those rules. And, you know, even to the point where you know, there's a moment where to distract people, he puts some of his bullets into a pan and heats it up. And I actually, you know, went into research. Like, I thought that idea, and to me, I thought it would work. And so I had to check all the YouTube videos of people doing that and found out, yep, it does actually work. So no one could say, oh, wait a minute, you know, that wouldn't happen. So everything in it can really happen. And that's why you are on your edge of your seat, because this is you know, an older guy who's in a very heated, high stakes situation, and he could be, you know, killed at any moment. And that's the jeopardy. You know, of course, Christoph is not, you know, as decrepit as the character is in the film, so I had to slow him down a few times and, you know, make sure that he wasn't running too fast and he couldn't get up those stairs in a single leap. So even though he's the real age of the character, he's, you know, pretty fit and isn't failing. So you know, that was, again, I had to keep the reality that this guy is what we all would think a man in his 60s with arthritis should behave like.
Absolutely. Again, another solid. Again, Christoph Waltz, Lucy Liu, who's great in it too. I love their dynamic as well. And then Christoph coming down the stairs at the end like that, like him doing that was pretty cool. Like I love that scene, like when he's shooting coming down the stairs and stuff like that. So again, I have to wrap it up. Unfortunately, I could talk to you for like 8 hours about the movies that I've enjoyed from you, sir. But I can't tell you enough how great it is to actually tell you what you meant to me as my cinematic experience throughout the years and with all these wonderful movies and everything. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I continued success, and I look forward to see what you do in the future.
Thanks, John. I really appreciate that. It's nice to hear that. This really means a lot. Nice to meet you.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, sir, and have a great day and good luck with the film when it comes out, okay?
Thanks, John. Nice to see you.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.